So, we should start the podcast.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
I've already started the podcast.
I pity the fool who starts the podcast.
I pity the fool who doesn't listen to the Player 4 podcast, which is right now. It's Player 4 podcast time.
So what else are we going to talk about?
What the hell are you doing?
This is the Player 4 Podcast. Join us each week as we talk about video games, entertainment, and pop culture, and bring in guests from the Rooster Teeth community. Player 4 has entered the game.
Hey, I pity the fool who goes and watches the Player 4 podcast. You shouldn't pity the fool who watches the podcast. You should pity the fool who doesn't watch the podcast,
No,
Alex.
I pity the fool who watches.
No.
I'm going to call you Mr. A, and you're from the T team.
TT.
Hello, I'm Tristan from...
From.
I can't
Oh my God.
talk. I can't talk right now. My brain isn't working anymore. Hello, I'm Tristan, a.k.a. Shagwazier from the Rooster Teeth website.
I am Alex, a.k.a. Chaos Black 21.
I'm Malachi, a.k.a. Sukikiba.
And I'm Malachi, a.k.a. Chaos Black 21.
Damn it,
Rooster
what
Teeth
the hell?
website.
I'm Joseph J. Dunlap on the Rooster Teeth website.
So, now that we've super professionally done the intros, like we do every week,
Yep.
Yeah.
because we just need to prove our professionalism over and over, we've got a short list of things we want to talk about for today. RTX has done its first special guest reveal. Dun dun, suspense. Then there were some Andromeda issues that Alex wanted to talk to us about. Joseph told me that Bioware announced something special, and Malachi tells me that I fixed my car over the weekend and played with a shaft.
I like how Malachi wants to tell you.
Because I always play with the shaft all the time.
Wow.
God.
Do
You
not,
guys realize we're recording, right?
do not believe that.
Do not bleep that. It's good.
I think it's funnier bleeped, personally, but
Just make sure that when you do, you have the pillow of solitude between you.
I almost made a joke, but I figured it would be bad. So, RTX guest revealed. What did they reveal to us, Joseph?
okay, so there was this big thing on Twitter. They're like, we're gonna announce our first special guest, y'all. It's gonna be awesome. And they're like, no, it's not Funhouse because they're not special. They actually said that. And they're like, our special guest is Mega 64.
What?
Yeah.
Who
Mega
is there
64.
every year?
Wait,
Yeah.
what?
So, not a
The
surprise?
special guest reveal was Mega 64? How does that even count? That's not a special guest reveal. Mega 64 is there every year.
I am so glad I wasn't waiting eagerly for the announcement. I might have been a little pissed.
I'm a little pissed. I was waiting eagerly ever since Joseph told me about this announcement 3 minutes ago.
Right, even though I'd already told you.
So, it's just kind of like...
No, you try to get into a role and play it. Somebody just has to poop on it.
I mean, you could say that they're trying to slowly build hype. So it's like, here's one that you see every year, and then slowly but surely we're going to reveal more and more until we get to the real big one. But in this sense, and at least from our perspectives, it completely backfired because, like, they're there every year. We wanted to hear someone new. There was a few people I saw who was like, it better be like Hideo Kojima.
We should start.
Kojima.
Yeah, I heard that Hideo Kojima is going to be there. But we heard that. When did we hear that? Like 4 months ago?
I don't know.
It was like last year or at the beginning of this year. I remember us talking about because I remember questioning like that whole they were trying to hype up that Hideo Kojima is going to be there. I'm like, yeah, but is Hideo Kojima like really going to add that much to the Rooster Teeth community? Like, are people really going to travel to RTX?
That was in RTX Australia that he was going to be.
That's what I'm thinking of. Wait, is he coming to Austin now?
No, that's what people were hoping that they were going to say.
Oh,
but they haven't announced that. They only announced that back when at RTX Australia that he was going to be there.
Okay, see, I've just lost track of all time and space orientation. I'm just lost. So Hideo Kojima. So did you go to Australia to see Hideo Kojima?
No.
What?
Yeah, neither did I.
No. Only Malachi did.
I mean, it was weird because they were like, "Oh, Hideo Kojima," and I'm just like, "But is he really all that cool? Like to go see? Are you going to go to Australia just to meet with Hideo Kojima?" Mm-hmm.
Maybe you're not.
No, I'm not. But I've never really. I played Metal Gear Solid, and that's it.
So I guess we'll have to find out what other reveals they'll have. I'm sure by the time this podcast comes out, I don't know. In a week, do you think that they'll have announced some more at that point, or do you think they're going to hold the cards close to their chest for a little while longer?
I think that's the point of this announcement. I think they're trolling us.
They're trolling us. I don't. Is that?
Trolling us.
Is it really a good idea to troll your target audience like that?
I think they're like, oh, it's special guest. It's Mega 64.
It's Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff and Gus are going to be here, everyone. I think it's exactly what you said. They're keeping it close to their chest. Maybe that's why they did that.
Close to the vest.
No, close to the chesticles.
Close to the chesticles.
Oh.
Thank you, Alex.
So that's the big announcement. Whoa, nobody saw it coming. Mega 64 going to be RTX. Woo! Go see them. Next.
It would be more crazy if they weren't there.
I guess it would.
The first big reveal, Mega 64 is not going to be there. What the shit?
Parlez-vous Freeze
Don't
Pop?
believe that.
Parlez-vous Freeze Pop?
Parlez-vous Freeze Pop?
It's the song from their cosplay videos that they do where they dance with people at conventions.
I haven't followed any of what Mega 64 does since 2009.
Watch their cosplay videos.
Are they
Okay.
decent?
They're really funny.
Oh, okay.
So, Andromeda. Andromeda. Alex, tell
I
us
think
about
you're
this game.
having issues, Tristan.
That's what I said. Andromeda.
Before we go to Andromeda, keeping on the RTX and kind of switching to side quest, I wanted to point out in 104 we were talking about the stuff that SideQuest is doing during RTX weekend. I wanted to add that now they have also added on Monday a farewell little thing at Pinballs that is going to be added to any ticket that you get for SideQuest. It doesn't have to be the weekend pass, and it doesn't increase the price at all.
That's kind of a cool idea. All I can think of is honest trailers. Pinballs.
When I think of honest trailers, I think of Bubes.
Yeah. So there was an honest trailer for 50 Shades Grayer today.
I really don't actually want to know. Please just tell me about Andromeda, Alex.
Okay, so Andromeda, I really, really like this game. I had my problems at the beginning, but I worked through them by reinstalling, and I'm afraid I might have to reinstall again because I got to the 5th planet for settlement, and all of a sudden now, if I get into combat at all, the game starts slowing down. And it gets to the point where if I stay in combat long enough, or I go into more combat, it keeps slowing down until it is literally a snail's pace of, the frames moving. It takes a minute for the frames to go. And
your characters are kind of like you during the phone calls where you robot?
No, because the voices still play fine. They play at normal speed, but you're going super slow.
Your video is the only thing lagging.
Yeah, and then I try to shoot, and it takes a while for it to register, and also just move in general. It takes a while, so I'm wondering if this is a bug that just happened to me, or if once again somehow my install screwed up again and I have to reinstall it again.
That sounds very frustrating.
For the 3rd time. So it really sucked. I was able to get through it. All I have to do usually is if it starts slowing down, I just save it, exit out of it, go to the main menu, and then reload the game, and it goes fine. The main problem is that I went into a mission that you can't save inside, and the mission takes a little while, and it kept getting slower and slower, and I even had to stop because then I had to go play dodgeball last night, and I come back and it got even slower than what I've ever seen it, just sitting there, paused, and I couldn't go through it. I had to quit out. I had to quit out without saving, so I had to do the whole mission again. And I was close to the end, but I couldn't. I literally couldn't move. Like I unpaused it, and I still had not moved for like 10 minutes.
This sounds like a system RAM issue, because way back in the day, we used to have an iMac at my house that we used for whatever, video editing, and I installed the game Age of Empires 2 on it. And it was fun. I like RTS games, or I used to be a really big RTS player. In any event, as you would play through the game, it would start to get slower and slower, and you would see frame by frame as the character, you'd click on them, that you'd issue an order, and they'd say, okay, and then you would wait up to like 30 seconds before they would start moving toward it, and then they would just blink one frame at a time toward it, and you had to stop playing, save, quit out, basically turn everything that was going on the computer off, and then start it up again to, clear out the RAM, the cache RAM. Because it just overfilled with information and slowed everything down. So that could be a hardware issue.
Yeah, so it didn't start happening until this planet. And I haven't gone to any other planets since then to see if now it's all completely fucked. Bleep, sorry. But it's just, I don't quite understand, because then I quit out and I come back in, and it's like the first thing of combat, like right after I come back in, I can already tell that there's like little hints that it's starting to slow down again.
You mean like it slows down?
Yeah.
Is that the hint?
I mean, it's hard to tell, but there are small signs, like actions. Like when I do actions, I can tell just barely. I'm like, yep, it's starting to slow down again. So I don't know. I don't know how the Xbox would have a problem with that. It boggles my mind.
I mean, like I said, it was a RAM problem.
And I've seen that too. I've played Civ 4, and that happens to me after a long time of playing, and I get further, and there's so many units on the thing.
How about you, Joseph? Are you on the fifth planet to have any comparison to if you're having any trouble with it, or notice any bit of strain?
What planet is the fifth planet?
The desert planet, Illidan.
Illidan. Yeah, I just finished Illidan.
Did you notice any strain on your system?
My issue with my computer is it takes about 10 minutes for the frames to stabilize. So when I first get into the game, it's jumpy. The frame rate goes down to about 5. And then after about 10 minutes, it just suddenly stabilizes, and then I'm good. And then if I just play, after that, there's no problem. I wanted to do the Apex missions, which is the multiplayer where you cooperate with people in survival mode, basically. What is it? Horde mode. The problem was loading the Apex mission would restart the whole loading thing. So that process starts over. Often I'm not loaded into the battle by the time it starts, and I'm dead when it loads, or I'm almost dead. But even if that's not the case, I'm dead in a matter of minutes just because my frame rate is so slow and so low that I can't really do anything.
So you're running on your PC versus Alex, which is running on his Xbox.
Yes.
Oh, okay. But still, it sounds like it does have quite a bit of strain on your system, so that'd be weird that they wouldn't make it so the Xbox would be able to handle it.
That is weird that his Xbox is the problem. Like,
assuming that's the problem.
True.
Assuming the Xbox is the problem, they made it so that it'd be playable on an Xbox. So all I can imagine is, and I do this every time I play Mass Effect, and then something happens where I'm trying to go over a mountain and I'm not able to. I imagine this nerdy game developer pushing up his glasses and going, "You see, you're supposed to go around the mountain." So I imagine, you see, yes, inherently the Xbox should be able to play the game, but there are RAM upgrades available to make it more playable. I just don't understand, as Malachi says, why they wouldn't make a game playable on the base version of the console.
Can you upgrade the Xbox?
No, you can't. You can upgrade when Scorpio comes out.
Okay.
Okay, I'm thinking about how there are different versions of the 360 in one that you can buy with different amounts of
storage.
Storage and all that. Whatever that word is that I was thinking of just now. RAM? No, never mind. It's bothering me. Anyway,
space, physical memory.
Memory was the word I was thinking of.
Your memory's
thank
not
you, Tristan.
serving you.
Heyo!
You know, memory is the key.
Heyo! Malachi Savage! So, that's my only issue. So I don't get to do multiplayer, but my strike teams are high enough level that it doesn't even matter. I can just send my strike teams to do the missions, and the rewards aren't really that helpful comparatively. If you don't start off the game on like the hardest difficulty, doing the Apex missions and trying to level up and everything, if you don't start off that way, it just doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a lower difficulty than the highest one, and if you just play through the game without doing it ever, then it's never really worth the trouble. From what I've seen, the rewards more often than not aren't as good as I can craft, and I just what's the word? Disassemble it. Found the WoW nerd.
I haven't even done the Apex missions because I haven't connected online since the first time that I installed and downloaded the update, the day one update, and my game was screwed. I haven't done any online since then.
I know screwed isn't what you wanted to say.
Yeah.
Stop believing everything.
Yeah. Is that it on Andromeda?
Yeah, so tell us.
There was one more thing. There was a patch released today for Andromeda that was over a gigabyte large.
Maybe it was Illidan.
1.11. Huh?
Maybe it was Illidan patch.
What?
I said maybe it was the Illidan patch.
Maybe it was the Illidan patch. Maybe you should get yourself some internet to download that patch.
Yeah, it's a sizable patch, but it's mostly just fixing little things that you may not notice immediately. One good thing is that after you look at the strike teams, Sam doesn't say you have unread email. It was a thing that would happen. Everyone was dealing with it. You do the Apex missions, you do the strike team missions console, and then all of a sudden Sam goes, "You have unread email," and you're like, "No, I don't." And they fixed that.
I don't do the Apex missions, and every now and then I get Sam saying that you have unread email, and there does. And I failed a part of a mission saying that I didn't read an email, and I clearly read the email.
Yeah. So they fixed that of all things, but they've got a list, I think, of things to check off each month, and they checked off over a gigabyte worth of stuff just today. Jeez. So anyone listening to this that has not gotten onto Andromeda for the past few days, you may want to download that patch. I don't know when this is coming out, but Alex is getting us pretty caught up on video. So that's it for Andromeda. I'm still having fun with it. I'm about 2/3 the way through it, so I'll be giving a spoiler-free review of the game in its entirety soon. So next we have Bioware news, which is a pretty sizable little thing. I was Googling gaming news while we were talking about our topics, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, interesting. So Mass Effect is on hiatus, and Bioware Montreal is transitioning to a support studio.
Really? What are they? They're supporting a larger studio than where?
So they're going to be a support studio with a number of their employees moving to the Jade Raymond-led EA Motive, where the Mass Effect series itself has been put on hiatus. It doesn't mean layoffs, according to this article. It's a reallocation of resources. So they're working on Star Wars Battlefront 2 with EA. Freaking EA. Really do not like EA. I bought Plants vs. Zombies yesterday, and
their arts are electronic.
I have to be online to play Plants vs. Zombies on my Xbox.
That's a little silly.
Yeah, and I can't hook up my Xbox, so I don't have a static IP. Anyway, Kotaku says that they're going to help support the development of games at other EA studios, such as the mystery game that BioWare Edmonton's been working on, the biggest project they've ever been working on. And that game actually has been pushed to 2018 release, the mystery game. That is not a sequel to anything.
So we got Bethesda doing 2 really huge games before anything that would involve Elder Scrolls, and now BioWare doing a massive game with EA.
Mm-hmm.
before any possible sequel for Mass Effect, if they end up doing it.
I'm not too worried about the Elder Scrolls thing because it's been getting a lot of love lately, and there's still a team dedicated to doing Elder Scrolls Online stuff, and they're constantly releasing stuff there.
But I don't want Elder Scrolls Online. I want Elder Scrolls 6.
I saw the advertisement for the Elder Scrolls expansion when I was at GameStop yesterday. Like, Tristan, yeah. It's just weird. My understanding was that Andromeda would kick off its own trilogy. And now they're like, yes and no, we're going on hiatus, we're going to go help EA. And it's like, what is going on at EA that they are pulling people off of the Mass Effect series? So it must be that this project's so big.
It's either so big or Andromeda didn't make the splash they were hoping for, so they're reallocating resources before they bleed too much money into it.
Well, they're trying to let everything simmer before they're like, okay, now let's go back to this. Everyone's kind of forgotten about all the stuff that they've been complaining about.
As long as they give us a weekly patch, that a weekly or monthly patch that fixes a huge amount of stuff, I'm fine.
Patch it. Fix it in the patch.
Patch it up. Fix it. I'm still playing. It's still fun. I'm not playing right now.
Liar.
Yeah, I lied. I'm fighting an architect right now.
I don't know what an architect is, but I assume it's a BAMF.
Wow,
it's
a giant worm.
It's a giant worm
with 3 legs.
Wait, hang on, hold on. Why wow, Malachi?
Because you're always playing games when we're podcasting.
Dude, not this time. I am staring at a blank screen talking into my microphone. I am, dedicated to this podcast, and that's how I knew they were playing games, because I could hear that distraction in their voice.
Tristan,
what?
Not
Tristan,
playing the game.
What?
There's so much irony coming out of your mouth.
Irony? I never sound distracted, even when I am playing a game. It's bull. I don't believe anything Joseph says.
I'm distracted because I'm fighting an architect, but that's just showing
how bad that architects are.
Well, okay, it's showing how the game needs to be fixed. It's still fun. I got to get my fix, But yeah, it is an interesting thing. It's like, okay, is the hiatus thing like when I put Draw 4 podcast on hiatus without telling anyone, except for the people who were on it? And it was never intended to come back.
Did it come back?
No, it was. It's pretty much a permanent hiatus unless something changes.
Okay.
Because like Mass Effect, it just wasn't being received well. It begs the question, is it really doing that badly, or is it just that they're borrowing the studio? Because I would be more inclined to believe that.
Are they borrowing what they did with Half-Life 3?
Which is never released it, even though
they never release it. And at this point, they can't release it because it's probably going to bomb compared to everyone's expectations of it.
Yeah.
You mean like Duke Nukem?
Duke Nukem Forever! Yeah. That was the best game ever. I can't even say that with a straight face. I can't even finish the sentence.
Well then, thanks for that contribution.
What? Hey.
You didn't finish your sentence.
I said Duke Nukem Forever is the best game.
Don't you hate it when you can't finish?
Yeah.
Sentences?
Do.
I accidentally the podcast.
You accidentally like a martyr.
Yeah, so Tristan, your car. What happened with your car?
Oh, so my car has been a pain in the butt for a while now. I took it in for a tune-up to get all the fluids changed and such, and then I got a call. They're like, oh yeah, your fluids changed. It's like $500. I'm like, yay, I get to spend $500. And then they call me up and say, so we need you to give us another $200 because there's this leak in your axle, and that's
what did they call you?
Huh?
What did they call you?
They called me on my phone.
They called you an axle?
Yeah, they called me an axle. So they said, oh, it's going to be another $200, and I'm sitting there going, I don't want to pay another. I don't even want to pay the first $500, but I don't generally like dealing with the car fluids if I can avoid it, just because disposing of them is problematic. But any repairs that don't involve the fluids, I tend to just jump right on and do. Any event. So they told me it's going to be another couple $100, and I begrudgingly say, fine, please fix it. They called me back a few hours after that saying, so we couldn't fix it because of your ABS sensor. If we try to fix it, we might break the ABS sensor, and if we break the ABS sensor, that's $700.
But if you wait, hold on a second. If you break the ABS sensor, then I wouldn't have to pay for it because it's your fault that's broken.
Yeah, well, that
That's
logic
not how
doesn't
they
apply
feel.
to mechanics.
Yeah.
So
I didn't bring my car in to pay you to break my car.
yeah, right.
So that's why they call you to get consent, so that they can cover their butts for charging you.
Yeah. So I said, leave it alone. I'll fix it myself. And so finally, over this past weekend, my friend and I got together because he was having, ironically, a very similar issue. At least he needed to take his axle apart because he was also having a leak. So we're like, oh, we have the same problem. Let's just go get the parts and fix them together. We went and we got the parts, and we went under his car, and all of his bolts were frozen, so we couldn't actually even start the repair on his car. So we jumped over to my car and took it apart, and it took about 4 or 5 hours to do. But we took out the axle, we changed the seal, which shouldn't be that hard. It shouldn't be. It was that hard. The old seal wouldn't come out. I had to basically destroy it to get it out, which was fine because it was broken anyway. Put the new seal in, and then we had the fun of putting the car back together. And when we were trying to get the axle shaft out, that's when we discovered what the mechanics had been talking about, saying that they needed to move the ABS sensor and they might break it. Because in order to get the axle shaft out, once you've got the differential open, you have to push the axle shaft in to allow this C-clip to slide off because it's set into another part and held there by the axle shaft being pushed out. So you need to push the axle shaft in to release it, and we couldn't push the axle shaft in because the ABS sensor was in the way. Of course, we didn't find that out until after we disassembled the entire emergency brake system, thinking that was the problem. So I told him before he did it, I said, if you take the emergency brake system apart, you get to be the one that puts it back together, because I've already disassembled and put that stupid thing back together 3 times, and it's not fun. So that's all you, buddy. So we got all that done, and we just ended up tapping out the ABS sensor. Like we just lightly tapped it with a hammer until it popped out, and then we were able to push the shaft in far enough to get it released. It was like, why couldn't the mechanic do this? And why did they think they were going to break it and charge me $700? Gosh darn them. So we got it all back together eventually. I had to tell my friend to give up on the emergency brake because he couldn't get it back together. I also told him to give up on it because we discovered as we were putting it back together that it was broken anyway and wouldn't work.
So it's in the trunk.
Even
now
if
you don't have an emergency brake?
I don't have an emergency brake on one of the wheels, and I doubt the emergency brake on the other wheel works either, but I use the emergency brake in that car exactly no times per year. So, other than passing inspection, it's entirely superfluous. I don't use it. It doesn't serve any purpose in my car.
I just always put my e-brake up when I'm parked.
I mean, you're supposed to do that, and my e-brake probably wouldn't be broken if I did, but I don't. Because I'm almost always parked on flat surfaces.
Yeah.
I mean, even
always.
when I'm parked on flat surfaces, I still do it.
Really?
I just don't.
It's a force of habit at this point.
It's a good habit because you actually do have to use it regularly in order to keep it from breaking, because otherwise it rusts out. It's got this ring on it that's full of oil, and so you have to keep it lubricated and keep it from rusting. And so you have to utilize it to keep it moving through that oil ring to keep it from breaking. The thing was that also to keep I don't know how yours works. Mine works with a cam system, meaning that there's this like little metal box with a hinged hook inside it. When you push in the pedal, the string pulls on the hook. When the hook gets pulled, it rotates inside that box, and it's a cam, so it's an off-center rotation. So as it rotates, it gets bigger, and it pushes the shoes apart against the drum, because the rear wheels have drum brakes as well as rotor brakes, and that's what causes it to, that's what activates the emergency brake, is once those make contact with the drums. The thing is that the cams are completely frozen. Like, they're so old and rusted, they're basically just rust held together by dirt with some more rust on the side. They don't move. Like, I have to take a screwdriver and a hammer and pound it against that hook to get it to move, and then I have to turn it over and pound it back the other way to make it move.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as I pushed on the pedal to activate the emergency brake, I had resistance, snap, as the cable broke, because it couldn't move the cam. So
you
yeah.
had lots of fun.
Lots of fun. In any event, like I said, I only need my emergency brake functioning to pass inspection, so I will have to fix that eventually. Not till 2018. But we got the rest of it back together. We took a test drive around the block, got some burgers. Nothing was leaking. It's been, another 3 days on top of that. Still nothing's really leaking. So I'm thinking we're looking good. We're looking real good. So, and that whole, our repair, buying all the parts and getting under there, it took, 4 or 5 hours of our time and less than $50 in parts.
That's usually the case.
I saved myself $200 from the original repair and the $700 from the upgraded repair.
A lot of times mechanics are paid it's like $99 an hour or something crazy for mechanics to work on stuff.
Mechanics outside of the city are usually $80 an hour, but some of them are up to $100 an hour. And yeah, it's like, for the most part, if it's not dealing with disposing of fluids, I'm really just paying for their time, because I can get the parts cheaper if I order them myself, and I can do the work myself, because I can look it up, and I have a bit of competence at doing that. So I just kind of look at it like an unnecessary expense. I don't need to pay somebody else to do work that I know how to do, or can figure out how to do. And my car is driving, so I did it fine. The only thing I was worried about was dealing with the oil, and once we got the oil out, my friend said, "Hey, do you mind if I keep this? Because there's projects I can use it for." I'm like, dude, I was just going to hide it somewhere so that I didn't have to deal with it. If you want to keep it, it is all yours. Because you gotta, special dispose that stuff, because it's literally toxic waste. So you gotta, pay to have it recycled properly and everything. So if he's going to use it, power to him. I don't have to deal with it. But yeah, that's my, tale of harrowing mechanical success.
Alright, so that means it's time to get the flip out of here?
Yeah!
Hop in Tristan's
Put it in
car?
the hole.
Put it in the hole.
Whoa.
So Alex has moved to 1.5 thumbsticks on Andromeda?
Yeah, just because of all the problems I've had, which, I seriously don't know if it's just my Xbox or if it's the game or both, but just because this is the only game that's had problems, I've got to go with 1.5 thumbsticks now.
I'm leaving it at 2 for now. For me, as a PC gamer with a PC that can handle it, I do not blame you for lowering your rating, though, because you're playing on an Xbox,
which is a set system.
And I installed it. It didn't work. Uninstalled it, then reinstalled it without being online. So there shouldn't have been any problems with just reinstalling the regular game to the Xbox. So we'll see how it goes after I leave Eladin, if it ends up screwing everything else.
Yeah, we'll see. All right. Yeah, so we only have so many weeks before RTX.
Yay, RTX.
Get your RTX hype going.
Yeah,
Malachi.
As
soon as, right, Malachi. As soon as the submissions for panels goes up, I am going to do that for us, get that going. I also would like to do a table read, at least 1 or 2 before the panel, before RTX. So
luckily, we have this year's RTX panel read.
Yeah,
panel read. Panel read. Why not call it a panel read?
We already have that read ready. So anyone listening that has a particular script you'd like for us to read from, or anyone in the podcast that has any suggestions, we should make that happen.
Road to El Dorado. There's got to be something there, right?
Right. I have to charge your full price. Oh wait, I have to charge your full price.
There's got to be a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 script we can get.
Yes. Okay. Well, I'll look into that one. Okay. Well, I got nothing. I think we're at get the flip out of here.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Goodbye.
Sleep tight.
Wow.
Sleep tight.
Don't let the bed bugs bite.
Ugh.
And then Malika's gonna hit stop recording.
No, not.
Malachi
What?
never hits stop recording. He just doesn't do it.
Nope.
Just do it.
He yelled at me last time I did it. What about the additive stuff at the end?
But I think I got meta with it.
What? Now
What?
the thing that's going at the end is, and then Malachi hits stop recording. No.
Yeah, I went meta. When you acknowledge how funny it isn't, it becomes funny.
I see.
It's funny because it's me.
No.
It's Joseph.
Everybody loves Joseph.
Oh,
Okay,
I thought it was
so-
Riken. Everybody loves Riken.
Yeah, it is Everybody Loves Riken.
Riken half man.